Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 227, Lysis 214b to d. With Menexenus, Socrates had been discussing philia, friendship, from the point of view of active or passive. Is the friend the one who loves or the one who is loved? With Lysis, Socrates is now discussing philia from a different point of view, the nature of the thing which is in the thing loved. Is philia the attraction of similar things? Basically, this is the question. Socrates has cited a poet, and then the physikoi, the men of nature. The physikoi become the pre-Socratics in the 19th century. This is the term that the physikoi received, and it's a bit misleading because pre-Socratic sounds like these people are before Socrates. The point about the physikoi is that they study science only. They ask the question, what, and not the moral question Socrates asks, which is how. How should we live? The idea that like is attracted to like, or that like is dear to like, is friendly to like, is easily refutable, and it looks like Socrates is just using this as another form of exercise for the boys. Having established that Lysis has indeed heard about these remarks by the physikoi, the men of nature, Socrates has a follow-up question which is quite pertinent. Ar un endego io legusi? Issos, F.A. Well then, I said, do they speak well? Perhaps, he said. Issos endego to hemisu autu, issos decai pan, al hemes usuniamen. Perhaps, I said, the half of it, perhaps even all, but we don't understand. This is an important point which is easily passed over without really understanding what is being said. Even if a teacher understands and says something true, it doesn't mean that we, the students, understand what the teacher is saying. Several dialogues contain people saying that they have heard from a teacher or some other authority figure something or other which they say is well said. But this doesn't mean that the student understands what is being well said. And then we might also ask, how do they know that it is well said? Usually it comes down to rhetoric. It is actually well said, it's well structured, the words are good, it sounds right, but the content is actually wrong. But even in the best case that what is said is true, it still doesn't mean that we understand it. And this is one of the points of dialectic, that we need to examine everything we hear in order to work out what it actually means. We have to understand it. It's not good enough that the teacher understands it. The comment about half of it or all may allude to what the physikoi were talking about. Socrates has already described them as conversing and writing about physis, nature, and the whole. And now he mentioned the all. The difference between the whole and the all, topan, is that the all refers to everything without distinction, while the whole refers to everything but as the whole of parts. If we were to stop and think a moment, the all cannot be like, since the only thing other than the all is the not all. Or if we want to follow Parmenides, who was the reason for all of the attempts to consider the connection between being and appearance, which is what all the Phusikoi had to deal with later on. Parmenides claimed that what is, and what is not, is not. Since the all is what is, the part which is not all is that which is not. And this is how we get to the model of the cosmos as a sphere in the center, that's the Earth, surrounded by the heavens, Uranos, but beyond that there is nothing, there is void beyond that. So Socrates could be referring here to the all as being a problem because it isn't like anything else like it. It is the opposite of the not all. It is the opposite of void. As I say, this may be an allusion, but Socrates doesn't go in that direction at the moment. He has another problem. He now explains why we don't understand. Tokegar heimin hoge poneros to ponero, hosoan engutero prosie, kai malon homile, tosuto echtheon gignestai. For it seems to me that the wretched person, the closer he approaches and the more he associates, to that extent becomes more hostile. Adikegar, for he commits injustice. Adikuntas de kai adikumenus adunatonpu philus enai. For it seems that it is impossible for people who commit injustice and for people who receive injustice to be friends. Hutos, nai ethos. Isn't this the case? Yes, he said. It's worth noting here that the people who commit injustice are wretched. Poneros means wretched or worthless, the opposite of axios, which is worthy. There is some aristocratic bias in this terminology, and that goes all the way back to Homer, where ordinary people are even considered kakoi, which came to mean bad. And it is assumed that the aristocrats, being worthy, having value, are good people, while the wretched, the worthless, are bad people. Later on in Stoic philosophy, bad people are always called poneroi, worthless, wretched. That's because in Stoic philosophy they cannot be called kakoi, bad people, because bad only exists in the unhealthy soul. Another point Socrates makes and is not picked up on is that when injustice is done to someone, that person becomes hostile to the person who did the injustice, while the one who does injustice is also hostile to the one receiving the injustice. It is not a foregone conclusion that in either case one of the people becomes hostile. Normally, if someone does an injustice to someone else, the person doing the injustice is already hostile or did something unjust without meaning to, while someone who suffers injustice has the choice to become hostile to the person who did the injustice or remain not hostile, whether that means friendly or neutral. Lysis appears to think that it's obvious that one would become hostile. Taute men an toinun, tu legomenu to heimisu, ukalithes per hoipone roi alelois homoioi. Aleitheleges. In this way, then, half of what is being said isn't true or wouldn't be true if indeed the wretched people are similar to each other. You say true things. So this is why Socrates says that we don't understand what they're saying. It's because half of the instances we can think of would be contradictory. This isn't a matter of not understanding, but of realizing that what is said is untrue. Or, of course, that it is true, but we really don't understand what's being said. But here Socrates takes the charitable interpretation that they knew what they were talking about, but they were only really referring to the good people and not the bad people at all. Alamoi dokusin legen, tus agathus homoius enai, alelois kai filus, tus decacus, hoper kai legetai periauton, me depote homoius, med autus hautois enai, al emplectus decai astathmetus. But they seem to be saying that the good are similar to each other and friends, but the bad, what is being said about them, that they are never similar to themselves, but are both impulsive and unstable. Hode auto hauto anomoion kai diaphoron, scholegeto allo homoion philon genoit an, kai soidoke hutos, emoigefe. But a thing dissimilar and different to itself would hardly be similar or a friend to anything else. Doesn't it seem to you as well thus? To me, indeed, he said. Socrates has done another of his sleight of hand in this little piece of the argument. He has moved from something being dissimilar to other things which are like that thing to something dissimilar with itself. This is a crucial change, and it's a point which was not made by the poet or by the phusikoi, at least not in the things Socrates said that they said. And we should ask ourselves what this has to do with philia. Does it matter if someone is similar or dissimilar to himself? And what does that even mean?